Hello, everybody, and welcome to the AVGL Smite College League. My name is J. Mac Tucker, and alongside me is my partner in crime, Gore Miser. How are you doing today, sir?
Dude, I'm doing great. I'm really excited. The season's starting back up, and last season we saw some great games. This season, it's looking to start out with some great games as well.
And we're going to be starting off with one of our runner-up players from last season. Mojo Cat has formed himself a new team and is representing St. Joseph's University. They're going against the University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. First round of bans out have been Circuit, Ratatosker, Thoth, and Nike. And the first picks are Sylvanas so far. What do you think about these picks and bans so far?
Right now, Sylvanas, especially for Season 4, he's skyrocketed up towards the top of the pick and bans just because his utility really as a Guardian has gone up. His healing isn't necessarily the thing that gives him as much anymore, but especially for players like Mojo Cat, being able to hit that pull, having the setup for his team, being able to shred some protections as well has definitely made him a top choice.
Yeah, and we've seen other Guardians like Khepri really come into rise right now, but with the Thanatos still open on the other side, I do like the Sylvanas being picked up first as opposed to the Khepri, because as we know that Thanatos execute can go through Khepri ult, but Zeus has been the second locked-in god for St. Joseph's University. Zeus Sylvanas, tried and true combo all the way back towards the Super Regionals.
Yeah, and Zeus is always going to be one of those gods that has just all sorts of strength just because he can do bursts. The detonate immediately allows him to turn any squishy target on the other team to dust. And having that picked up, especially in Season 4, again, it's another thing that's been really strong right now.
Indeed it has. We have a slight lobby crash here at the moment. We're getting that reformed up as we speak for the moment. So while we do that, let's talk a little bit about the format of this of the season that's going on here. So for those of you that are new, this is Season 3 of the AVGL. This is our first day and our first game of the first day, St. Joseph's versus University of Massachusetts of Dartmouth. The way that this season's going to break down is we have a first stage round robin. That's what we're going through now. This is the group stages. So all teams are going to play against each other in this round robin format. At the end of that, we're going to take the number 1 and 2 seeds from each division within a conference, and there's a whole mess of that we'll go into. We're going to take the number 1 and 2 from that, so there'll be 4 teams. We're going to round robin them to seed them inside of our gauntlet, which is where we're going to determine the number 1 team of each conference. There are 4 conferences, so we'll have 4 gauntlets, 4 winners. Then we'll take those 4 teams, the four gauntlet winners, and we're going to pit them against each other in a single elimination best of 3 to determine which 2 teams are going to our LAN finals at High Res Studios. This is going to be a crazy season. You have any early season predictions here?
I haven't seen what they've been pulling out. Obviously, a lot of these rosters are looking good. We have some teams coming back. I think we've been talking about it. The Data Remember coming back for the three-peat. He has been at the top both seasons prior to this, and he has what looks like a relatively all-star roster going back into the this season. So it's going to be really interesting to see. Right now, I'd probably say he's definitely going to make it, or his team will definitely make it into that final bracket, and they might have a little bit of run for their money pushing it to the LAN, though.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them. As we mentioned, it is Data Remember squad. Most of them returning. They were the champions last season. This time it's just Data Remember, Final K, and Dingo Dial coming around. They've picked up a new mid laner in Cardiac, and then a new solo laner in Puckham. Puckham missed out his chance of LAN last time around, but picked up this all-star squad and has a very strong intention to move forward for this one. Will they be able to get the three-peat? Only time will tell. We'll see if there's anybody who can stand up against them to go for that. But we're now getting back into the game. The bans have come back through, and the picks are making their way back through again. The Sylvanas, the Thanatos, we'll see I believe it was the Rom, and the Zeus will be picked up as well on the side of St. Joseph's University. So why is Sylvanas Zeus such a powerful combo?
Again, it's all the setup, like Sylvanas being able to pull, knock up, and shred protections with the fact that Zeus doing a huge amount of burst damage, the control he gets from Chain Lightning, the slow, and of course Detonate just being able to eliminate targets on, essentially for here, University of Massachusetts. Ooh. But on the other side, they're going to have a little bit to be worried about because Thanatos, right now, Season 4 with Smite, early game is the name, and Thanatos, he fits that to a Q.
Yeah, Thanatos, what used to be known as the early game assassin, has now found his way to being able to make it into the late stages of the game, but that early to mid game execute, getting them under a percentage HP and guaranteeing a kill if you hit that ultimate is so crucial these days, especially in the late game when it's a 40% threshold on their HP for an execute. 40% is a lot of HP still left on somebody like a Guardian or a solo lane warrior. Uller and Poseidon have been the final pickups here before we're going into this ban stage, and we've seen a big resurgence of Poseidon. Why so?
It's kind of the same reason that you'd see a Zeus. It is the Kraken burst damages, the Whirlpool clear. Like early on, Poseidon gets pressure. He has enough early game clear to allow him to kind of push that lane, especially against someone like Zeus, who takes a little bit longer to get online or needs more help from his jungler. Whereas Poseidon, he can hold his own, and once he hits level 5, I'm going to be looking at Thanatos doing a lot of ganks and Poseidon just looking for a big Kraken. Really, right now, University of Massachusetts are focusing very hard on that early game, but if they can get it and they can make it work and push that to the limits, they will get the lead very early on.
Sobek, Khepri, Hunbots, and Hercules, all 4 gods being banned out away in this one, and a very wise ban to take out those 2 support gods in the Khepri and Sobek by St. Joseph's University. Dartmouth hasn't, UMass has not picked up their support yet, and giving Khepri to them on top of Thanatos, Rom, Poseidon, any 3 gods who giving them a second life is a dangerous thing to do. It's a great way to take that away, and they're going to respond by picking up the Ymir for likely the support role, but you know, this is Smite. This is Season 4. We could see this Ymir go anywhere. We could see Thanatos solo. We could see Thanatos jungle. We could see just about anything. And I think that's what's so great about the season right now is God roles are still somewhat ambiguous for a lot of these tankier characters and even some of the assassins. But one assassin that we know is not going into this solo lane because this is not Man Ray, is going to be that Thor.
Yeah, Thor being picked up, and that's going to be, again, a lot of early game pressure. Thor's passive actually really benefits him in fights early on. So right now, St. Joseph's possibly looking for some invades with the Vamana on their roster as well. That could potentially spell some trouble for UMass here, but I like the Ymir pickup. In fact, I don't know, like if you follow pretty much every amount of casting I've done since Season 4, Ymir has been one of my favorite gods to watch because the walls have been top notch. Like they have been out of the ordinary, people making the most clutch saves or stopping or pushing any kind of limit with this wall. And so knowing that play, expecting something kind of similar from UMass here. And I mean, really, their rosters, both sides are looking very strong.
Especially with that last pick, Odin, that has come through. This is purely to shut down this Sylvanas healing, trap that Zeus inside of the cage, and even trap that Vamana, who has the healing on his big baby ultimate. Not so much the big baby, just the slightly larger little child, I guess. As we did see the... honestly, I really like the remodel on Vamana. I think it's very nice. But this Odin pickup purely to counter out the Sylvanas, to kill the Zeus, and to trap that Vamana and keep him from healing. Phantom is a relic I'm expecting to see picked up. Almost, if not first, it has to be a second relic.
That's one of those relics that is, with Zeus, or with Odin here, you have to pick it up. You either pick it up or you have to accept the fact that some of your teammates are going to be dying. And really, I like the kind of flex that Odin will have here, being able to kind of use that utility, take down targets, trap anybody, control that team fight just a little bit more for their team. But I mean, as it stands right now, both of these teams, they're looking relatively strong. I'm interested to see how this dual lane matchup goes because Uller, relatively higher skill cap, I would say, than Rom, but both of them very auto attack based. Of course, Rom's snipes being one of the, I want to say, harder to hit ultimates in the game, probably one of the hardest. It's going to be very fun. I expect a lot of action just coming through all lanes of this game.
Indeed, we will. But before we do that, we're going to go into a very short break, and we'll be back when the game starts. It's going to be our first set of the game, St. Joseph's University against the University of Massachusetts at Dartmouth. We will be right back in just a moment with the start of the Game 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the AVGL College Smite League Game 1 of Day 1. It's St. Joseph's University against University of Massachusetts, Dartmouth. My name is J. Mac Tucker, and alongside me is the beautiful Gore Miser. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and again, this is going to be looking great as minions finally clashing down in the mid lane, and Muffin already taking some damage from the Ymir and the Thanatos.
Ooh, Thanatos taking a big chunk of damage there. Took a little bit of too much minion aggro in the mid lane there. And against the Zeus Thor, that's not something that you want to do because those are two gods who can kill you off very quickly and very easily in the early. But over in the duo lane, Zetasphere and Mojo Cat cleared off that wave very early. It is Ullr Sylvanas, so they have a massive amount of wave clear, and they've already taken away the two small minions of the purple buff and the entire red buff. That's going to be very harsh for Sam over there in that duo lane.
And that's really where the pressure we're going to be seeing come out right now, this early game pressure, because the Ymir is sitting in that mid lane. Zetasphere, Mojo Cat control this side of the map, and because of that, they're not only able to get that and get that little bit of experience from the smaller minions in the camps, but they're also going to be able to steal away this purple buff and potentially the red buff. No, they already stole away the red buff, so they've pretty much gotten everything they need to on this side of the map, except for the fact that we just saw UMass pick up those left-hand harpies.
Yeah, and they still have their two buffs to go after this. And in fact, they might actually make their rotation over towards the Oracle Harpies, a new jungle boss that has been introduced as of Season 4 in Smite. Getting control of these gives you vision over that Gold Fury pit, but they're not going to go do it. It looks like they're just going to head over and safely do their red buff for now, which that would have probably been the perfect opportunity for them to do those Oracle Harpies. There's 3 in mid lane that had really no desire to make their way over there at the time, and they had that entire left side of the jungle cleared out.
While on the right-hand side, we're seeing some fights over the elementals, and they will ultimately go towards the University of Massachusetts here right now. Sueno jumping around with happiness at his team, getting that little bit of experience and honestly having a little bit of control, but he's losing it overall, still getting some poke down, the minions being pushed into his way, so he's going to lose a little bit of gold, but ultimately I feel like he's coming out as a net high.
Great pull by Mojo Cat's going to lead into the Detonate Chain Lightning for Muffin, and that's going to be first blood going over to St. Joseph's. Mojo Cat on point with the pulls for the first time around on this Sylvanas.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I expect to see. Booty Call Jones going to get frozen out. Whirlpool going to be good to get some poke down, but it's not enough to find the kill quite yet. And since we didn't see Poseidon tick over to level 5 just yet, he doesn't have that Kraken to throw down. So Booty Call Jones able to get out, but just barely so. If he gets caught in something like that again, he probably won't be walking away with his life.
No, he's going to have to be very careful come to the later portions of the early game in towards the mid stage. He's going to need to really be careful about those whirlpools, especially if he has his hammer still available. He's not going to be able to run away. All he's going to be able to use the damage for that one. We mentioned earlier at the start of the stream that this is Mojo Cat's newly reformed team. So Mojo Cat was the runner-up for Season 2. He went to LAN. His team lost to the Pistol Pete's. Mojo Cat has since split from them and formed a brand new team. Meanwhile, Collateral has taken the remaining members of his old team and have formed their own team. And I believe they're in the same conference as well. So later on, up towards the stage of the gauntlet, we have a chance of seeing the two teams of runner-ups potentially face off for the chance to go to LAN.
Yeah, it's completely a good potential for that. And as it stands, I mean, right now, St. Joseph's are going to see a kill get picked up. Sueno going to fall down, but the rotation's coming out. Typical Java, Harry, Soviet Bear making the rotation. Booty Call Jones might get caught out. He has no mana. He's going to get frozen down. And this is just going to be a lot of damage. This should be a clean kill for University of Massachusetts.
Ooh, the Sanctuary is good to keep him alive just for the time being, but Varix is going to be able to pick him up with that Soul Reek. Meanwhile, Exterminator trying to fight against two of them. Somehow, typical Java perished in the entire engagement there, which is going to just make this an even 1-for-1, actually a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of St. Joseph's.
I will say St. Joseph's are showing a good amount of experience right now in just how they are farming, because even though some of the jungle camps haven't been going their way, they have a 1,400 gold lead right now, 4.5 minutes into the match. And even though they have those 3 kills, that's not quite enough to really count for that gold differential. And that is just showing they are doing a very good job of farming and sharing their experience.
Yeah. Mid-camp gonna go the way of what looked like UMass Dartmouth, but once again, Mojo Cat on point with his pulls is gonna grab Harry Soviet Bear on that Ymir, and it's gonna be another kill going the way of Muffin. Mojo Cat really strutting his stuff on that Sylvanas right now.
This is the Sylvanas play you want to see. Like, if you ever have a Sylvanas locked in, that's what you want to see. I have not seen him miss a pull yet, and he has been doing the exact right thing at the exact right time. That ultimate just to lock down Harry Soviet Bear in the Zeus ult, taking that extra bit of damage, really allowed his team to kind of, again, just get ahead. And as long as they find picks like this, they have control of this early game, and now they're leading by almost 2,000.
Yeah, and unfortunately for this Ymir player, Harry Soviet Bear, he's gone with the reinforced grease, so he's not going to have the mobility of the Talaria boots. He's not going to have the gold gain from it. And instead, it's just going to be now putting him just barely about 11 level and a half or so behind right now. He's going to have a hard time getting back into this game if it keeps going like that. Great route by Mojo Cat yet again. Muffin's going to get an immense amount of poke onto Varix in that mid lane. These two, Muffin and Mojo, have been sticking together this entire time and doing exactly what you want. Rooting targets out, pulling them in, poking them down. If you can't kill them, at least you send them back to base.
And they've been doing it at the exact right times as well, as we're seeing another little bit of a poke fest. Sueno going to get knocked up in the solo lane, taking some damage. And here comes Thor, but he's a little bit off the mark. Double tap not going to connect. Booty Call Jones going to stop, turn to look at Exterminator there, just as an acknowledge of, I can't believe I messed that up. And unfortunately, what looked like a good kill just completely falls apart.
And meanwhile, over onto the left side of the jungle, those oracles were split 1-1. Typical Java used the Kraken to secure at least one of those away from St. Joseph. So nobody's going to be getting vision of those Gold Fury, just at the time, but those will be respawning in the upcoming minutes. Meanwhile, over in the duo lane, we see a Transcendence rush here by Zetasphere. Did have the Bluestone, but opted to go into a Transcendence second item.
Exterminator going to get a solo chill there as Varix going to get taken down. Harry's Soviet Bear erased by Booty Call Jones. And what was a great wall that almost stopped the aggression from being put onto him results in 3 kills across the board for St. Joseph's. Now they're going immediately for this Gold Fury, and we're actually going to see Zeus throwing down the Storm just to get that extra damage and burst the Gold Fury down before Rom can try and snipe it.
Yeah, that's exactly the reason. So as Sam was in the air, Great Axe is just going to be off the mark from Zeta as he's going to try and rush in to take out Sam. 1 auto, 2 auto, third one is not going to connect. Zeta is trying to get it, but Booty Call Jones is going to teleport in, and the spin to win is going to take down Sam. That is the 8th kill of the game going to St. Joseph's.
Right now, the lead being heavily in favor of St. Joseph's, although it's not something that can be forgotten. They can't just start playing like they want to, but they can relax a little bit. Ultimately, right now, their rotations have been very good. They've been making the right calls, and all the solo kills really being on the back of Exterminator are kind of what are carrying the right-hand side of the map. We've been looking over there occasionally, but for the most part, the action being over towards that Gold Fury side is what we've seen, and Exterminator being able to hold this lane, much like he is right now, just being able to push out Sueno, has kind of given them a little bit of lax, allowed Booty Call Jones to focus on the mid lane and the dual lane.
Zetasphere, a 2v1 kill, is able to take out Soviet Bear, and that puts him at a 2-0 Uller right now. He's going to be able to back, and I believe he's actually got enough to get his boots, but mid lane skirmish, Muffin takes out Varix with the help of Mojo and Booty Call Jones, and typical Java falls yet again.
Fire Elementals being saved, Exterminator making sure Booty Call Jones get this, and right now it looks like Booty Call Jones wants some more blood. Sueno gonna be backing under his tower, but I'm not sure Booty Call Jones cares too much. The stun double tap gonna come through, forcing the shield, and Sueno gonna try to back, but his buff is getting stolen away the entire time, and now more experience on the side. Exterminator getting another lead.
Gold disparity right now sitting at a mere 5,200 gold and only 9 minutes in the game. That is a huge deficit for them for the time being. And if you take a look at the net worth chart for all of these players, the lowest farmed player, which is Muffin on the side of St. Joseph's, is ahead of their highest farm, the solo lane Odin. This is spelling a disaster for them early on in this game, and they're really going to have to get some good picks and some smart team fights to pull them back into this game.
As Zetasphere is pushed up, going to get frozen out by Harry Soviet Bear, using those purification beads to try and get away. Wall going to come up, and he looks like he's going to fight. No, just jumping over, running towards the jungle, knowing where his teammates are making this rotation right now onto Varix. So going to Mojo Cat for the healing and safety that it provides. But the stun going to be coming down, and Varix wants to go in.
And Zetasphere is going to be able to get the credit for that kill with the last auto attack, but the Kraken and the Whirlpool is going to be enough to take out Zetasphere and shut him down. Meanwhile, Sam and Harry Bear have to split up so they don't get hit by the chain lightning. A great job by them to separate so they don't perish, but I think typical Java himself may be falling here. One more auto and the detonate's gonna be enough.
Now we have Sam trying to do anything he can to get a return kill, but he's out of mana, and there are 3 members strong looking for him. Booty Call Jones going to pick that one up with the Berserker's Barrage. They're going to take away the purple buff just as a little bit extra on top of the cake right now. And, I mean, over on the right-hand side, Exterminator is showing he doesn't need the rest of his team.
No, he's just soloing. He took down that tier 1 tower in the solo lane and is now fighting against Sueno, who is 2 levels behind and 1,800, almost 1,900 gold behind at the exact same time. Has not been able to finish up that Breastplate of Valor yet, but in the mid lane, another team fight. Booty Call Jones may fall. No, he's going to be able to get out thanks to the sun from Zeta Sphere. Soviet Bear's going to fall, and Exterminator's going to kill a kill onto Varks between the towers?
That was the level of team play that you want in a game. Knowing Booty Call Jones trusted his team enough to be able to get out. He knew exactly when he had stayed too long, running away, and Zeta Sphere being able to hit that stun, causing it again, hitting another stun, and causing Sueno to just get knocked off the map. 2 more kills being picked up, the tier 1 in mid, a speed buff taken just for the hell of it, and a surrender vote coming out, and that is going to be a very solid victory for St. Joseph's.
Coming out with a commanding 17-2 victory at only 11 minutes and 19 seconds into the game, over a 7,500 gold deficit this early into the game. St. Joseph's on a tear at the start of the season.
That was, I mean, just perfect. I mean, they played that exactly how they wanted to. They used their comp the exact way they needed to. Exterminator showing his prowess on this Vamana, being able to get some solo kills, just even when he was being ganked. Booty Call Jones going in, and of course Zeta Sphere hitting all of those stuns. And we can't ever forget the support. Mojo Cat hitting as many plucks as he did really allowed his team to get ahead very early on.
One thing that we didn't see out of Mojo Cat last season was those really hot plays. Mojo Cat is a support main. That is his home, is support. When he was on Nodes Gaming last season, he was their jungler, and really his claim to fame as the jungler was Thor. And sure, we saw some pretty nice ganks here and there. We saw some ultimates hit, but overall, Mojo really didn't perform up to that level that he is performing at now, back in his native role, and he's doing a fantastic job on it. Perfect support stats, 0, 0, and 9 on this Sylvanas, being a part of only half of the kills, but that's because everybody was soloing. I mean, pretty much any time that there was a fight, Mojo was there.
And what was, I want to say, more impressive with St. Joseph's victory here was the fact that the University of Massachusetts, they weren't playing poorly. They just ended up too far behind. And when you're that far behind, trying to fight typically goes downhill. And unfortunately for Varix there, playing Thanatos, once you fall behind early on, you have to farm. Like, you cannot chase the kills like you want to. Even though you do enough damage, it becomes a lot more difficult for you as a player to kind of have that sort of, like, that comeback when you are on a Thanatos. The rest of the team might have been able to hold out, but ultimately the experience and the levels just going so far in favor of St. Joseph's that the surrender came out, and we ultimately see the victory.
With that, St. Joseph's is going to have the 1-0 lead in this best of 3 set. We'll be back in just a moment with game 2 to see if University of Massachusetts can pull out a victory, and we will be right back.